Disclaimer about this video, we won't be using anybody's full name just for the privacy of them in case we might have a wrong person, as this case is currently ongoing. So, a lot's happened since the last video I made. I was just playing Red Dead with Olivia, and then all of a sudden, I blew up on TikTok a little bit, but why? See, on TikTok, the algorithm works in very mysterious ways, and in this case, it really worked in my favor. I made a video looking for one of my friends that went missing about 3 to 4 years ago, and TikTok wanted to help me out in that case. So, what exactly happened? See, this is going to be a video about the untold mystery of Bloodsmen 537, and we're going to break it down into 4 parts. The background, the timeline, the evidence, and then we're going to go into the theories and debunk the ones that don't really make a whole lot of sense. And if you guys haven't, please subscribe to make sure that you are not cringe. So let's go into the background of this video. See, Bloodsmen and I were friends many years ago. He was one of my first friends on Xbox back when I got my Xbox in 2012. See, Bloodsmen and I played everything together. In fact, if you go to the first video on my channel, you can see that him and I played together all the time. We made a video when I was like 8 years old, and we played everything together, whether it was Minecraft, Call of Duty, or really any game. We were always there side by side. And then something happened. When the Xbox One came out in 2013, Bloodsmen switched to the Xbox One. And at that time, I did not have one, and we slowly began to separate. And with this in mind, something happened. And that's that when I was finally able to get an Xbox One, we began to play less and less. And things started to slow down. I began to message him, and I didn't really get messages back, and it began to worry me that maybe it was something I was doing. But then I noticed one time he wasn't on my friends list. I went there, and sure enough, he blocked me. But why? And see, that's the biggest mystery about this entire case, is that we don't know why he's done any of this. Now that we have an understanding of who Bloodsmen was, we have to look at the timeline. We know that Bloodsmen loved to play games like Minecraft, GTA, and Call of Duty up until about 2018. But then we noticed his activity began to spread out more and more. See, what we saw is that when talking to his friend Gary, that he started to become a little bit more inactive, a little bit more infrequent. And when talking to Gary, Bloodsmen blocked Gary too. But why would he do all of this? So we took it to Discord, and we took it to TikTok, and they were able to find that Bloodsmen had started to play Fortnite, which didn't really become popularized till 2017, and it was later discovered that his activity on Fortnite didn't happen until 2018. I saw that he had about 600 matches on Fortnite, but this doesn't really answer the question of where he went or why he blocked his friends. But further on, going into the theory, we saw that up until about 250 days ago of this recording, Bloodsmen had been semi-active, but all of his games had become more and more vague. More single-player games, more games that didn't really feel like the old Bloodsmen. See, these games were games like Far Cry, City Skylines, and eventually a local multiplayer game when Bloodsmen had previously not really played with a ton of other people inside of his own home, rather only really playing games with people online. And so with Bloodsmen starting to seem more and more like a different person, we started to wonder, where did he go and when did he leave? But that's where this timeline gets weird. See, just yesterday, we had found out that Bloodsmen had been active on his Xbox playing Diablo 3. His gamer score had went up from being 53,345 to 53,390. And it blew us all away. We were all sitting on live, and we noticed that this gamer score was going up. Is it that he just didn't know that we were there, that we were trying to get in contact with him, or was he ignoring us? And that's where this timeline starts to get weird. When looking at different games that have been out during this time, we checked Apex Legends, Rainbow Six Siege, the different Call of Duties that had came out. But since World War II, he hasn't really played any of those games. Is it that he just switched to PlayStation, or is it that maybe he was on PC? And that's where we started to think, maybe Bloodsmen was just on PC at this point. So we had to go back to the source. See, up until this point, all of our evidence had been what we could find on his profile and a little bit about what his friend Gary was able to tell us. But Gary had given us some information that he hadn't given us prior, and that's that he had convinced Bloodsmen to get a PC. And he mentioned Bloodsmen had gotten a PC before me. It was annoying. But this was bigger than he had initially thought he had said. Now that Bloodsmen had a PC, we knew where he might have been. See, something that a big oversight we had seen when looking at Bloodsmen's profile was that one of his achievements was from City Skylines, Windows 10 Edition. So now we have a better understanding of where Bloodsmen is, that now he might be on PC. But the Bloodsmen case gets a little more confusing. When looking for evidence on Bloodsmen's profile, things were really complicated. The fact that it said he had 0 friends and that he only had 70 followers at the time. There wasn't a whole lot of us to go off of because we couldn't see the games he had played, and the only things we had were the 6 clubs that he was in. So we took it to ourselves to message all of those people in those clubs, but out of all those people, only 2 responded. And of those 2, only one of them really knew him, and it was Gary. But here's the thing with Gary, is that Gary ended up getting blocked by Bloodsmen as well, for almost no reason at all. The thing is that Gary had suffered a similar fate of getting blocked by Bloodsmen, so he told us somebody that might know more. His name was Phaser, but Phaser would prove to be no help as he never would message us back during this case. We tried a couple other people, but the thing is they begin to block us when asking them questions. Was this because there was over 100,000 people on TikTok messaging them? Or was it because that they knew something that we weren't supposed to know? And this is where things get really strange. How could somebody go from being a very social, just outgoing person to ultimately turning into a hermit, somebody that doesn't like to talk to anybody, and somebody that had gotten over 90 new friends on Xbox and not said a word about it? The Bloodsmen case is only starting to develop, and then things go silent for a little while. Thinking that we have no new leads, no new information, things are looking a little bit distraught. The people that we're trying to get in contact with aren't messaging us back, they're blocking us, but then there's a sign of hope. See, Bloodsmen was in a video 7 years ago, and you might be saying, Aiden, this is terrible evidence. What are you going to do with somebody that knew him 7 years ago? But this video 7 years ago featured Bloodsmen and his friends, but the quality was awful and there wasn't really much to make out about this video. All we knew is that this video by Century Co was blurry and it was recorded from a phone to a TV. But there had to be something more. And when looking at Century Co's profile, we noticed that he had a lot of followers, one of which was Justin. And we were able to backtrack it and find out that they were German. And that seems weird, but then we found their social media, found the same person's name with similar text, and then we were able to find Ross, otherwise known as Century Co. We were able to take Century Co's profile, and we were able to find him in real life. And then we were able to find Bloodsmen, otherwise known as Chris. But was it the same Chris that we had known, or is this just another Chris from Massachusetts? And this is where the evidence starts to get a little bit fuzzy. We have somebody here named Chris. They look to be about in the same age range of 16 to 17, but something's missing about this. And that's that this Chris looked to be a little older than 16 or 17. And they're in Chicago. Does this mean that the Chris that we knew ended up graduating and going to college in Chicago? Or is this just another person that we may have oversighted? We had equipped a Discord of over 400 people to work together to try to find out who Bloodsmen is. And still, to no luck, were we able to find out who he is definitively. See, as Bloodsmen was active on his Xbox, or at least some way to get an achievement, we know that Bloodsmen is using his account, but to what extent? And that's where we have to look into the theories of this. And that's that the theories of this video are going to really have to be the main bread and butter, because we just don't have enough information yet. And when looking at theories, there was a lot of theories in the beginning. What if Bloodsmen was hacked? What if he had possibly passed away? And some more outlandish theories about maybe he got a girlfriend, he went to the military, but there's a big plot hole in all of these theories, and that's why would Bloodsmen block all of his friends? And for the most part, nobody can answer these questions. Why would he block a bunch of people that he was friends with and then go off and do other things? And after knowing that he has a PC, it debunks a lot of these theories. And that's where I'd like to leave you with 2 major theories for today's video. Because of course I could go into the idea that he sold his Xbox, he's been hacked, or many of these other things, but ultimately it doesn't give us an effective conclusion. Here's what we have to go off of. There's 2 major theories today. Theory 1 is that Bloodsmen knows that we're trying to find him and he wants nothing to do with us. Or Theory 2 and that's that Bloodsmen doesn't know that we're trying to find him, and it goes along with the PC theory. Let's begin with Theory 1. In Theory 1, Bloodsmen knows that we've been trying to find him. It's logical because we've seen that over 90 people have added him on Xbox, and it's only presumptuous how many messages he may have gotten from the TikToks, which have over 200,000 views in total. So what could happen is that maybe he wants nothing to do with anybody. He doesn't want to talk to me, maybe he doesn't want to talk to Gary, and he just wants to move on, playing single player games and these games that are more just slower paced. And with Theory 1, it's the more logical of the two. It doesn't really go on many presumptions or the facts that he was active recently. It straight up says he's seen us, he's played his games, and maybe just that's the answer we need to go off of. Or Theory 2. The theory that I think is more plausible just because I like to be a dreamer on these kind of things. In Theory 2, here's what we see, is that Bloodsmen doesn't know what we're talking about. He doesn't know we're trying to find him because he's on PC. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you play games on your PC using your Microsoft account, you may get achievements for these games. However, here's the big difference. If you don't have your Xbox game bar pulled up, you're not going to get your notifications from your Xbox as you have no way for those to pull up. And if he had pretty much just stopped playing his Xbox, he has no way of seeing all of these notifications, meaning that Bloodsmen may just not know that we're trying to find him. And at some point he may be blown away with the amount of people trying to get in contact with him. All in all, what does this all mean? Does this mean that Bloodsmen is still out there? Of course. Is this the same Bloodsmen that we may have known before? Maybe or maybe not. Could somebody else be using his account? Of course. I mean, these are all plausible theories, but at the end of the day, here's what we have to go off of. We know that Bloodsmen doesn't have many social media accounts, if any. We looked on Reddit, but user/Bloodsman was not him. The several TikTok accounts that tried to impersonate him also happened to not be him. And the only pieces of information we really have to go off of at this point are what his friends have given us, his Xbox profile, and the fact that he has some activity on his Epic Games profile. All in all, the Bloodsmen case is quite a mystery, and we don't have much to go off of. And Chris, if you're watching this video, please get in contact with me and just message me over Xbox. Maybe we can do some catching up, and really the world just wants to know, why did you block everybody, and where have you been all this time? See, Bloodsmen was a very just genuine person. He was very sociable and outgoing, and he had a lot of friends, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense on why he disappeared. See, after searching all sorts of social medias, there was nothing we could find. Not on Reddit, not on TikTok, Twitch, PlayStation, Steam, nowhere could Bloodsmen be found, except Epic Games. However, we've done a lot of amazing things since then. I went from being at 30 followers to over 8,000 as of making this video, and we were able to make a Discord where we've been able to help other people find some of the friends that they've had missing. And as of this video is being made, we've found about 4 people thus far, and there's no signs of us stopping trying to find these people. Just in the background, Bloodsmen is still missing, but it doesn't really make sense on why. See, this missing persons case is not so missing after all. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but if you have some ideas, put them in the comments below or join the Discord. I'll have it linked below as well, and you can help join the investigation to find some people's friends, or maybe you have a friend that's missing and you want us to find them. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see ya.